In this video course, learn Python and its concepts. Python is an object-oriented, interpreted, high-level programming language. It is an open source, dynamically typed language developed for Windows, Linux and Mac OS. In this course, we have covered the following lessons. All the notes of the lecture are also provided. Now let us start with the first lesson. In this video, we will begin with the Python introduction, its overview and features. Let's begin. Python is an interpreted, high-level object-oriented programming language. It was developed in the year 1991. Why it is popular these days? Since the introduction of data science, more than 75% of programmers prefer Python as a must-have skill for data science, that is for data scientist job profiles. Now let us move to the features. Python is open source, that is, it is freely available. We will see it later how to install it for free. Okay, it is a high-level programming language. So what is a high-level programming language? Basically, high-level languages require the use of a compiler or an interpreter for their translation into the machine code. Okay, so Python is a multiple programming paradigm. Now, what is a programming paradigm? It is a way to classify programming languages based on their features. For Python, it includes more than one programming paradigm. That is, it is object-oriented. Okay, it includes your classes and object concepts. It also has functional programming as well as it is imperative. Imperative in the sense of grouping instructions into procedures. Python is also an interpreted language. That means instead of translating source code to a machine code like we see in C++, Python basically translates it to bytecode. Now, bytecode is a low-level set of instructions that can be executed by an interpreter. So it is mainly said that Python is an interpreted language. Yes, it's fine. But one of the steps in Python is also compilation. The Python code which we write in .py file is basically first compiled to what is called bytecode. Okay. It is dynamically typed. That means you don't need to declare the variable type in Python. When you will declare the variable, the interpreter will automatically check the validity of the variable types and the operations performed. Okay. It is cross-platform. That means you can install and work on Python on your Windows, Mac as well as Linux operating system. It includes a lesser line of code. That means same program written in Java will consist of more line of codes than Python. Why? Because Python includes English language type methods which are very easy to implement, and within few lines of code you can accomplish the task easily. In this video we saw what is Python, why it is so popular, what are its features, and why even in data science Python is a must. In this video we will learn how to install and set up Python on Windows. With that, we will also see how to run our first program in Python. For that, we will download and install Python. Then we will download and install a free and open source PyCharm IDE. After that, we will connect the Python interpreter so that we can run our first Python program successfully at the end. So guys, let us start. At first, we will download and install the current Python version. At first, go to the web browser. I am using Chrome. You can use any browser. On Google, type Python, press enter. On pressing enter, the official website is visible. The first one, python.org. Click on it. After clicking, you have now reached the official website. Here it is, python.org. Just keep the mouse cursor on downloads. On keeping herein, always the current version is visible. So the current version is Python 3.10.3. Just click on it to download. The download started. It's only 27 MB. You need to wait for a few seconds. So guys, we have successfully downloaded the exe file. Double click on it to install. Minimize this. Now the installation started. Here it is, Python 3.10.3. At first, click on add Python 3.10 to path. Now click on customize installation. Here in optional features are visible. It will install pip. I told you pip is used to install and manage Python packages. It will also install IDLE. IDLE is an ID to run Python programs. We will see it later. It will install the test suite as well as the PyLauncher. Keep the default. Click on next. Here in advanced option are visible. I'll select install for all users. Now the following is the path wherein our Python will get installed. We will see it later. Click on install. So guys, the setup is successful. Click on close. Now herein you can see we installed it under C drive, program files, Python 3.10. Remember, Python got created inside it. Here it is. Here is our Python 3.10.3 path. So guys, we successfully installed the current Python version. Let us verify. Go to start, type cmd, click on open to open the command prompt. So we opened it, type the command python space -- version and press enter. Herein you can see we successfully installed Python 3.10.3. Now guys, let us go to the web browser again and download and install PyCharm free version open source. Herein type PyCharm, press enter. On pressing enter, the official website is visible. Click on it. So here is the official website. Click on download straight away. After clicking download, two versions for PyCharm are visible. The first one is professional and second is community. The following is the paid version and this is an open source free version. So I'll click on download to download it. So the download started for PyCharm community open source version, 359 MB. Let's wait for a few seconds. So guys, we have successfully downloaded the PyCharm open source exe file. Double click on it to install. Minimize this. The installation started. Click on next. Herein you can see the installation location is visible. PyCharm will get installed under program files and JetBrains folder. We will see this later. It will take 1.2 GB. If you want to change the location, you can click on browse. I'll click on next. The location looks fine. The default is fine. Herein you can see the installation options are visible. Herein you can create a desktop shortcut. You can also add open folder as project. You can directly open a project in PyCharm. And that's it. Click on next. It will also create a start menu folder. Click on install. It is installing now. So guys, the setup completed. Click on finish. After clicking finish, you can directly click here to open PyCharm. I'll just double click here and open it. So guys, the PyCharm started. Click on new project directly. Herein you can see it will create a new project. You can name the project from here. Let's say my project name is Amit project. It will get saved in the following location. Now we need to also set up an environment. So it by default went for new virtual environment, which is fine. Okay, the project location will be the following, and it automatically took the base interpreter, which is Python 3.10, which we just installed. It automatically took it. Okay, so we have connected PyCharm with Python. Now click on create. Here it is guys. Let us close this. Now we have created our Amit project folder and the main.py file got created. Guys, you can see indexing complete. So now here is a project. Here is the main.py default file. I'll right click and add a new file. New. Click on Python file. Herein just type the name of the file and press enter. On pressing enter, it will automatically convert to .py, that is Python file, because it got selected by default. Press enter. Now here it is. Now let us print something quickly. Go to file, click on settings, click on settings. After clicking, you can see the settings is visible. To change the font, you can directly go to editor, click here. Now click on font here, and it is right now 13. Change it to, let's say, 18. Click on apply and then OK. Now you can see the font increased. Now we need to run it. You can directly go to run and click on run here, or click on run here. You can also use Alt Shift plus F10 keyboard keys. The best way I consider is to just right click and click on run example. Here you can see we successfully ran our first Python program. So guys, in this video we saw how we can easily download and install the current Python and PyCharm version. We also ran a sample project on PyCharm. So guys, thank you for watching the video. In this video we will learn about variables in Python. What are variables, how we can easily create it. So Python variables are basically reserved memory locations, and they never work like variables in Java, C, C++, because it is dynamically typed. You don't need to do any extra work of using int, float, char and other types. Okay, so variables are basically containers for storing data values. That means whenever you'll assign a value to a variable, it gets created. Okay, so you don't need to type int a, float a, char or any other type in Python for creating and assigning a value to a variable. Let's see an example. So we'll be showing an example on PyCharm ID. For that, go to PyCharm ID, click on file, click on new project. Here, and I'll uncheck this because this is a simple example. Click on create. Before that, you can change the name of the project. Let's say I'll type it to Python variables. Click on create. Okay, so here is our project. Right click, create a new file, create a new Python file. I'll give it a name demo. After pressing enter, it will directly create a new demo.py file. That is the file name, that is the file extension for Python file is .py. Press enter. Now you can see we have created demo.py. Now let us quickly create an example for variables. So herein you can see we have declared 3 variables. This is an integer variable with an int value. This is a string variable, and the third one is also an integer variable. So this is different from C, C++. In C, C++ we used to write int a is equal to 10. Okay, like float b is equal to 5.5 like this. But in Python this is not required. So it is dynamically typed, right? Easy to use. Now I'll just right click here and click on run demo. But before that, let us print. I'll just print the variables. Okay. I'll right click and click on run demo. Herein you can see we have printed it. So now guys, this is fine, right? Fine to write. A is of int type, B is of string type, and C is of int type again. Okay, so this is how we create variables in Python. So guys, in this video we saw what are variables in Python, why it is important, how we can easily create it in Python, why it is easy to create a variable in Python than in Java, C, C++. Thank you for watching the video. In this video we will see what are scope of variables, why it is important, what are the different scopes available. Okay, so scope, as the name suggests, is the existence of a variable in a region. Okay, or you can say you have defined the variable in the beginning of your program or inside a function. So how those variables can be accessed basically defines its scope. Okay, so while accessing variables and its values, this scope is really important. So there are two scopes, basically scope of variables in Python, local scope and global scope. So we'll understand this concept using examples. So let's first go around local scope, then we'll focus on global scope. So local scope, you can say, as the name suggests, when we define a variable in a function, its value can only be used inside its function. Why? Because since we define that variable inside that function, the scope remains inside only. Okay, the value of that variable we can only access from inside the function, not from outside the function. So the name local scope. Let us see an example quickly. So we'll be running our program on PyCharm ID. For that, let us create a new project. Go to file, click on new project. Herein you can see name the project. I'll name it Python scope of variables. Okay, so project will get saved here, Python scope of variables. I'll click on create. Okay, so here is our project. I'll right click and directly create a new Python file. Let us name it demo. I'll press enter and a Python file will get created with demo.py extension. Press enter. Here it is. We have created a program. Let us now first focus around local scope in Python. Okay. So hash is used to add a comment. Let us now write a code. I'll directly create a, so we haven't covered Python functions till now, but it's easy. For the example, I'll explain. So to create a function in Python, we use def keyword. So within the demo function, I have created a variable. Now I'll just call the function, that is the function name is demo. So I have called the function here. Okay. And this is our function definition. We just created a function and we added a variable value to it, so we can access this value inside the function only. Okay, let me right click and run the demo, run a function. Here it is, the output is 100. So this is what I have shown you, local scope in Python. You cannot access this value a outside the function. Okay, so to see this, what we can do, I can just add. So now I am printing it outside, okay, not inside the scope of demo function. Now when I'll call the demo function, it will show an error. Okay, it is already showing an error. Right click and run demo. Okay, name a is not defined. Okay, name error. This is name error. Why? Because we have assigned the value of the variable inside the function, but we are accessing it outside. So this will throw an error. Okay, now I'll just comment it. Okay, I'll just again print it here again to show you that there won't be any error now. Right click run demo and there won't be any error 100. Okay, so this is how we can work around local scope in Python. Now let us focus on global scope in Python. A variable has global scope if it's created outside the function and accessible from anywhere. So this is different from local scope. Herein we will create the variable and assign the value to it outside the function so that we can access it anywhere in the entire program. Let's see an example. Okay, so now I'll create a new program. Right click new Python file. I'll give it a name demo2, let's say. Press enter and demo2 file got created. Now we will work around global scope in Python. Global scope in Python. Okay. So herein we have created a variable and added value 100 to it. With that we have created a function. So we have printed this variable inside the function. But we are focusing on global scope. So I can print this value anywhere because I have declared it outside the function. Okay, that is global scope. Now I'll just print it again here. Okay, now let me call the function again. Okay, again I can print it here. So we are accessing it 3 times. It's a global scope, it won't show any error. Right click and run the demo, run demo2. Demo2 is our file name. Now you can see 3 times 100, that means there is no error. Okay, why? Because we have used the same variable name inside and outside the function. The value gets assigned twice, that is from outside the function and inside the function. Now guys, let us see how we can change the value of a global variable. So we saw that we have declared a variable and accessed it anywhere because it was a global variable, but we can also change the value of a global variable using the global keyword. Okay, so the following is the syntax. You just need to write the global keyword, then the name of the variable you want to change the value of. That's it. Let us see another example. Okay, let us create another example. Click on right click new Python file. I'll mention the name demo3. Press enter. Okay, now change the value. Okay, so now we'll change the value of a global variable. For that, let us create a program. So we have mentioned a variable and assigned a value. This is having global scope. Okay, now I'll create a function demo name. Now I'll use the global keyword, okay, and assign a new value to the global variable. Let us print it A. Now let us call the function and again print it. Okay. Now I'll right click and click on run demo. Okay, so missed the colon. Here it is. Both the values are having 10 because we updated the global value from a is equal to 5 to a is equal to 10 using this keyword. If you want to understand it in a better way, we can mention this, like inner, like outer. Okay, this is our outer value and the following is our inner value. The following is an inner value because it is inside the function, and we are printing the outer value again, but the outer value changed, but the outer value, which should be 5, change it to 10. Why? Because we updated the entire global scope from 5 to 10. Okay, so when we ran it, we are only shown 10 two times, even inside and outside. We changed the entire global scope using the global keyword. So guys, in this video we saw how we can work with scope of variables. We saw local scope, global scope, as well as we also saw how we can change the value of a global variable using the global keyword. Thank you for watching the video. In this video we will learn about operators in Python. What are operators? What are the types of operators? We will walk around with examples. Let's begin. Python operators are used to perform operations on variables and values. For example, if you want to add two variable values, if you want to assign a variable value to another variable, we use operators. Okay, with that we also use the bitwise operators. We will see all these operators one by one. So arithmetic operators are basic, as the name suggests, used to perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, divisions, modulus and other operations on variable values. So let us see an example quickly. So herein let us create a new project on PyCharm. File, new project. I'll name it Python operators. Click on create. Now our project will get created. Let us now create a new file. Right click, new Python file. I'll name it demo. Press enter. On pressing enter, it will create a demo.py file. So here it is. So herein let us create a variable a, then I'll create b. Okay, let us now print their values. Let's say I'm printing the addition. Okay, so I'll just run demo and you can see addition is visible, 15. Now let me print subtraction, then I'll print multiplication, then I'll print division. I just change it. Here is subtraction, here is your multiplication, here is your division. Okay, so this is our arithmetic operator. So here are the results. Okay, you can also add modulus operator. Okay, so I'll just right click and run it. Herein it's 0. I'll just change it to 6, let's say. Now we will find the modulus. Here it is. It's 4. These are the basic arithmetic operators in Python. Assignment operators are used to basically assign values to a variable. Okay, let's see how. Herein you can see the operators are visible. Assignment operator, add assignment, subtract assignment operator. Okay, so let us see them with some examples. Herein let us create another project, Python file, demo2. Within that we will work around assignment operators. First is the assignment operator. Let's say it's a is equal to 10. I just printed the value of a. This is our assignment operator. Okay, here it is. We have printed a value. Now let us move further to AND assignment operator. Let's say a plus is equal to, I'll just print add 5 to it. Now I'll print a again. So what will be the answer? This is equivalent to a is equal to a plus 5. So this is what we call a plus 5. So a is equal to a plus 5. So this is what we call AND assignment operator. Now the a value of a will be 15. Right click and run it. Here it is 15. In the same way we can work around the subtract also, subtract assignment, and multiply assignment, divide assignment in the same way. So herein you can see I have shown examples for AND assignment, subtract assignment and multiply assignment. This will subtract 3 from the entire a value and this will multiply 2. Right click and run demo. Herein you can see initially it was 10. When you printed it, we added 5 to it, it's 15. For the total 15, what we did, we subtracted 3 here, that is 12. Then the 12 value is multiplied by 2, here it is, and the result is 24. So this is what we call the basic assignment operators in Python. Logical operators basically combine conditional statements. So and or not operators, you must have heard that if both the statements are true, the and operator returns true. We will see this later in the examples. In or, if only one of the statement is true, it returns true, and in not, it's a reverse. It will return false if the result is true. Let us see some examples. Create a new file, demo3, press enter, demo3.py is visible. A is equal to 10. So herein you can see we are checking for is a greater than 5, yes, and is a less than 20, yes. So when I'll print the res value, the result, it will show me true. Right click and run demo. True. Why? Because both the conditions are true, therefore using the AND operator it will return true. Okay, now let us check for our now I'll check for OR operator in the same way. So herein you can see we are checking for OR operator. Herein the value of a is less than 5. No, this is false. But the value of a is greater than 8. That is, the value of a is 10. That means greater than 8. Therefore, OR operator will implement true, because under OR we only want a single true statement. Let me set it to OR. Okay, right click and demo. Now you can see it will return true because one of the conditions, the following condition is true. A is greater than 8. That's it. A is 10, that is greater than 8. Okay. In the same way we can work around the not operator. How? Let's see. So herein I printed the same statement again. When I'll right click, it will show me true. Okay. But we are using not, so I'll just add not here. Okay, now when I'll print it, it will show me false. That means not means negation. It will show false here. Okay, I'll just right click demo. Herein you can see false is visible because we use the not operator. Reverse, that is negate. Reverse. Identity operators are basically used to check whether the objects are with the same memory location. Okay, identity operators include is and is not operator. If both the variable points to the same object, it will return true, else it will return false. For is not operator, if both the variable points to different object, it will return true. Let's see an example. Right click new, demo 4. So this is our identity operator. Let's say I'm printing a here, variable here with the three names. Let's say John, Amit, Tom. Okay. Now I'll again print another variable with the same values, and I'll just assign it to a new value, that is C. That is, let's say I'll declare C and will assign A to it. Okay, now we will work around the Python identity operators. How? Go to print. We will check with the is operator first. Since we have assigned A to C, we will check for A is C, and I'll just print it. Right click and print demo 4. You can see true is visible. Now let us check for is not operator. Is not operator. Okay, I'll right click and run demo 4, and you can see false is visible here. Why? Because C is the same object as A, because we have assigned here. Okay, so when we'll go for is not operator, it will return false. Now let us check for A with B. and let's see what will happen. It will show true. Why? Because A is not having the same object as B. Herein you can see they have the same content but both are different objects. That's why it is showing true for is not. Okay. The membership operator is used to basically check for membership in a data structure. Okay, that is to test if a sequence is presented in an object. The membership in a data structure like data structures, tuples, strings, dictionary. The membership operators include in and not in. In if variable is in the list as the name suggests, and true will return for not in operator if the variable is not in the list. Let's see an example. Right click new demo 5 for our Python membership operator. Let me create a variable. A is equal to, let's add values, Amit, John, Tim. Okay, now we will check this sequence using we will test this sequence using our in operator in A. Okay, this should return true. Why? Because Amit is in this list, in this sequence. It returns true. Okay, so this is our in operator. Now let us check the same for not in operator. Okay, I'll just mention any other name, Smith. Okay, now it will show true because Smith is actually not in A. It is showing true. Okay, when I'll try to add the same value here, let's say John is already in the list, but we are using not in, so it will show false. Why? Because John is in the list. Okay, and we are checking for not in. Now comes the bitwise operator. Basically to compare binary numbers, we use bitwise operators. That is binary numbers, each and every bit is checked. So we have basically 4 types of bitwise operators: binary, AND, OR, XOR and NOT. And we just saw, you can compare what we just saw before for AND. Okay, both the bits are 1, the result is 1. That is, if both the bits are true, the result is true. For all, if any of them is 1, any of them is true, then the result is true, that is 1. For binary XOR, the binary XOR sets each bit to 1 if only one of the 2 operands are 1. And for binary not means negate, so it will negate, that is 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. Here is binary left shift and binary right shift. The binary left shift operator shifts the left operand value to the left, and in right it shifts the left operand value to the right by the number of bits in the right operand. Okay, so we will see all this using examples. Let us create a new project. Right click new Python file demo 6. Okay, so this is for bitwise operators. Okay, we'll first focus on bitwise AND. Now let's say I have a value A with 18, B with 11, and I'll also create a new variable for result. So I'll just use res result is equal to A and B. This will allow me to work around bitwise AND. AND operator is used for bitwise AND. Okay, now I'll print the result res, that's it. Okay, here in what we did, 18 we will convert it to binary. So 18 is equal to your 0001 0010. Okay, and 11 is for 00001011. When we will bitwise AND both, it will shows the result. Right click demo 6, result is 2. Okay, now let us, okay, I should write here, this is fine, bitwise AND. Now I'll focus on bitwise OR. For the same, OR includes operator change, that is OR include this pipe sign. Now it will check for OR for the same values 18 and 1, these binary values. Let's see what will be the result. Right click demo 6, 27 is the result. Okay, for bitwise OR. Now let us focus on bitwise XOR. Bitwise XOR operator sets each bit to 1 if only one of them is 1. That is if only one of the two operands are 1. So the operator here is the following. Okay, this is for bitwise XOR. Right click and run it. The output is 25 here. Okay, for A and B value XOR. Now let us focus on bitwise not binary not bitwise operator. Okay, for that we just only need any single value, that is, let's say I have A here. I'll just use the negate operator to just find the negation using the bitwise not. Now I'll run it, right click and run. Now our value of A, which was 18 before, will change to -19. Okay, now I'll go further and check for left shift bitwise operator. So herein what we'll do, res is equal to A. Let's say I'm shifting 3 times. Okay, after that I'll print the value here. Left shift bitwise operator, it will shift our operand value to the left by the number of bits in the right operand. Okay, that is, it will shift the A to the left by the number of bits in the right operand, that is by 3. It will shift 3 times, and the leftmost bits will fall off while shifting. Let's see, right click. Okay, now the value is 144. Okay, let us see. Here it is. This is what we saw. You can see the value was 18. We have also shown it in binary form. When we shifted it 3 times, we use 3 here, right? We use the number of bits in the right operand is 3. When we shifted it 3 times, the first shift will move the value, all the values to the left. So 1 was here, now it is here. In the next shift the 1 is here, and in the next shift the 1 is here. 0 fill on the right. That means the values are shifted on the left, and on the right zeros will get filled for empty spaces. Now after shifting, the result is 144. That is, the result is following. You can check, this is binary 144. So this is how left shift operator works. Okay, so I told you it was 144 the result from 18 to 144 using the bitwise left shift. Now for the right shift, it goes the opposite. Okay, now I'll shift it to the right. Okay, so now our 18 value will be shifted on the right side. The rightmost bits, right click. Okay, let's say now we'll shift it 2 times. Now the value is 4 here, you can calculate. Okay, so we shifted this 2 times on the right, resultant would be 4. In this video we will see how we can create comments in Python. Okay, just like any other language, we can create single line as well as multi-line comments. So let's see. What are comments basically? Comments are basically used to provide extra details about a program. So let's say you want to create a program from someone and you want them to understand your program properly. You can add comments to it after every statement or line. Just like you have created a variable, now you have printed the variable, you have created a function. Now this program is related to what? So in this way you can easily add a comment in the starting of the program, basically to indicate the purpose of the program, the author of the program, and on which date it was written. This is basically used to provide clarification and description about the statements in the program or the complete program. To create a single line comment, you need to use hash, that's it. Okay, for multi-line also you can use hash, but basically triple quoted strings are used to create multi-line comments. So let us see both the comments with an example. So this is our PyCharm ID. Let us create a new project, file, new project. Click on create. So we have created a new project, right click new and create a new file. So we have created demo.py file. So I told you hash sign is used to create a comment. Let's say this is my hash sign I have created, understanding Python variables. Okay, so this is my comment, won't be included when I'll run the code. Now herein I'll just create a variable. Okay, so I created a variable val and I entered 6, then I printed it. Okay, so I printed the value using val. So I added a comment, understanding Python variables. create a variable. This is how we can create a variable, and herein I can write printing the variable value. Okay, so these are commands. Right click, run. You can see we printed 6. You can see we printed 6. In this way you can easily create variables, but our purpose was to see how to create a single line comment. Okay, now you can also create multi-line comments like this. How? Like this, I can add a comment displaying the value. So this is how you can create a single line comment again. With that, if you want to add multi-line comment, you can add like this, create a variable. We are creating a variable with the integer value. So we have added multi-line comments with integer value. So we have added multi-line comments. Okay, in this way you can add more stuff here and more stuff here. Okay, now you can also create a comment using multi-line comment using triple quoted string. How? Let's see. So let's say I want to explain something about variables here. So I'll just write a triple string. Here it is. When I'll press enter, it will automatically create the ending part. So herein you can add multi-line strings. Let's say herein I'll explain about variables in Python for the users. Variables in Python are reserved. I'll go to next line, memory locations. Okay, so in this way you can easily create single line and multi-line comments in Python. When I'll run, only the following will run, rest is hidden because those are comments. So guys, in this video we saw how we can easily create single line and multi-line comments in Python. We can also create multi-line comments using the triple quoted string we saw here. So guys, thank you for watching the video. In this video we will learn about type conversion in Python. So using type conversion you can convert any type to another, that is any data type to another. Let's say you want to convert into float into complex type, you can easily do it. Let's see how. Through type conversion in Python you can easily convert one type to another. Let's say you want to convert into float or into complex, you can easily do it. So the following are the methods through which you can easily convert a number from one type to another. If you want to convert into float, use the float method. If you want to convert a value to int type, you can use the int method. In the same way others go on. So we will learn about this using an example. Here's our PyCharm ID. We will create a new project, file, new project. Let us name it Python type conversion. Click on create. After clicking create, you can see the project got created. Let us create a new file. Right click, new Python file. I'll add the name demo and press enter. Here is our file. Now let us first see how we can convert into float. For that, at first I'll be creating a variable. I added the int type. Okay, now I'll print it. Now I'll also print the type so that we can check it later. Now guys, we need to convert. So guys, how we will do that? I'll be using the float method. Take a variable result and I'll be using the float method, and I'll just add the val, that is the int val, integer value, and I'll print it, and after that I'll also print the type. So here it is. So I have printed the converted type, converted value as well as type. So let's run it. Right click, run demo. Now let us see. We had 5 int, now we have 5.0 float. So we have successfully converted into float. In the same way guys, we can also do the opposite, that is converting float to int. How? Let us see. Right click, new Python file. I'll type demo2.py, press enter. Now guys, convert float to int, that is convert from float to int in Python. In the same way, create a new float value. I'll print it, and I'll also print the type. After that guys, let us convert it back to int using the int method. Okay, now do the same. Print the result and the type of result. So we have converted here from float to int. Now I'll just run it. While running, it will automatically get saved. It was in float, now it is in int. Okay, so we have successfully converted into float and float to int. Now last example we can see converting into complex. Let us do that. Let me set it demo3 and press enter. Convert into complex. How we can do that? For that we'll be using the complex method. But first, let us type a variable int we have taken. I'll just print it. Also print the type using the type method. That's it. Now we need to convert it to complex. I told you I'll be using the complex method, so I'll just directly use the complex using a new variable. Herein I'll type val. That's it. Print. So this will be our converted value, that is in complex. Now print the type of it. That's it. Right click and run it. Now you can see it was in int initially, now it is in complex. So guys, in this video we saw how we can easily convert one type to another in Python. We saw examples of converting int to float, float to int, as well as int to complex. Thank you for watching the video. In this video we will learn how we can easily get user input in Python instead of hard coding the values. Okay, just like Java, C, C++ and C, Python also supports the concept of user input. Okay, so let's see. For getting user input, we have a built-in method, that is the input method. That is the input method is used to get input from the user. Let's see an example. Herein we have our PyCharm ID. Let us create a new project. Go to file, new project. Herein let us add a name, Python user input, and click on create. After clicking create, you can see the following is visible. Now let us right click and create a new program, new Python file. Let me name it demo and I'll press enter. It will convert to demo.py. Now we will see a simple example to display student records, and we'll be getting these student records through user input. How? Let's see. So we have printed this. Now at first I'll be printing the student name. For that I have taken a demo variable sname and I'll directly use the input method. So this text will be visible to the user. Enter student name. Okay, so this will be directly visible to the user. Now I'll just print sname. That's it. Herein we can easily write student name. Okay. This is fine. Now directly we will add address. Okay, I'll just change it to address and change the name to, let's say, SADDR. We could have also added like this, s name, s underscore name. Let's keep this for an example. Okay, SADDR is our student address. Okay, for a demo records. So we have added this also. Now let us add student grades. Let us change it to S grade and I'll show it here. Grade. That's it. Now we have 3 records. You can see we'll be adding records from user: student name, student address, and student grade. Let's see what will happen. Right click and run demo on PyCharm ID. Here it is. It is asking for student name. I'll add Amit. I'll press enter and it will display student name Amit. After that it directly asked me student address. So let's say I'll add Delhi. After that it is asking me grade. I'll type A and I'll press enter. Here it is. Grade is now visible. In this way you can easily get user input. So guys, in this video we saw how we can easily get user input using the input method. Thank you for watching the video. In this video we will learn about decision making statements in Python. So with the decision making statement you can easily take the decisions based on different conditions. So let's see. In Python we have if else, and if else, so that you can easily take decision based on different conditions, that is the decision making statements. So here we will learn about all these with examples. The if statement is used to execute the code only if the condition is true. So we have the syntax here. The condition, we will set the condition. Let's say if age is greater than 18, then the below line will get executed. That means if the age is greater than 18, the candidate can vote. So herein we have our PyCharm ID. Let us create a project, file, new project. I'll give it a name, Python decision making. Python decision making statements, create. Our project got created. Now right click on the project, create a new Python file. I'll name it demo. I'll press enter and it got created. Herein we will first see if statement. So I'll take a variable age and I'll set it to 20. Okay, now we will execute the if statement. If age is greater than 18, I'll print here the candidate can vote. Okay, now I'll right click and execute. Here and you can see candidate can vote. That means only the true condition we have added and the following got executed. Okay, so this is the if statement. Then comes the if else statement. So in if else statement, if the condition is true, the first line will get executed, but if the condition is false, we have else here, the following line will get executed. Let's say if age is greater than 18, candidate can vote. If the age is less than 18, so it will go here under else and the following will get printed. That means the candidate cannot vote because the age is less than 18. Now moving further with if else, I'll create a new file. Okay, let us copy this code and I'll explain you in similar way. We have our if else statement. Okay, so we were having if statement for only true condition. What about the else condition? That means what will happen if age is less than 18. Okay, if let's say the age of a candidate is 10, what will be displayed as in else condition? So we have else for this. You just need to print that candidate cannot vote. Why? Because the age is less than 18. It's 10 now. So it will check under loop. Is 10 greater than 18? No. So the false condition will go here and the following will get printed. That is candidate cannot vote. We have the if elif else statement. Under if elif else statement, the code is executed for different conditions. If more than two conditions are true, herein, if let's say more than two conditions are true, we need to use the else to display the false part. Okay, let's say we have marks here. If the user got marks more than 90 out of 100, the following line will get executed. So it will be, let's say grade A plus. If the condition is true, that means marks from 75 to 90, grade will be A. 60 to 75, the grade will be C. It will go to condition 3. And the last one will be for rest of them. That is for the candidates getting marks less than 60. In this way, we can use the if elif else statement. If elif else statement, wherein we will work around more than two conditions. Okay, so I'll create a new example, new Python file demo3.py. Okay, now we will work around. Okay, so I'll take the same example. Let's say her age is 18. Now I'll add elif for the second condition. If age is less than 18, okay, then candidate cannot vote. Okay, I told you before. Okay, what about other conditions? Let's say the age is 18. Herein, what should be the result? Okay, we haven't mentioned it. For that, we have else here. Since we have provided multiple conditions here, we can add the false condition in else. That means candidate's age is 18, therefore voting is legal. That means he can vote, he or she can vote. Let's run it using if elif. So we missed the colon part here, no problem. Right click and run again. Herein you can see candidate's age is 18, therefore voting is legal. So we worked around all the two conditions and the false condition went to the following. So this is how you can work around if elif else. In this video we will see how we can work with the break and continue statement in Python. We will also see live running examples. So herein you can see at first we have the break statement. If you want to immediately terminate the execution and get out of the loop, you can use the break statement. Okay, After the program gets terminated, the loop gets terminated, the control will reach the next line after the loop. Let's say you have a string value studiopedia. After getting the letter P, you want to terminate the loop so that you can print only the values before P in the word studiopedia. So you can easily do it using the break statement. Let's see an example. At first you can see its syntax, it's easy. You can see you just need to write the break. Let's see an example. So herein you can see we have our PyCharm ID. I'll create a new project. Click on create. Here is a project. I'll create a new file, right click new demo. I'll press enter and it will create a new project. At first you will see how to work with the break statement. Let's say we have a string, okay, with the name studiopedia, okay. So what I'll do, I'll first print it. I printed it. I'll use a for loop, okay. Now I'll add a condition in it. I told you, let's say after reaching the word P, it should terminate, okay. So I'll just write if I is equal to, I'll mention the particular word, let's say P. What should happen? A break statement will terminate the loop, okay. After terminating the loop, the next statement in the line will get printed. That means print I, that's it, okay. Now when I'll run it, let's see what will happen. Run demo. Okay, I forgot the colon. Right click, run. Herein you can see I just printed the studiopedia word. After that, when the value of I is P in the loop, so it will print studyo. After that, when it will get the value P, the loop will break and it will go outside, it will come outside. The current execution of the loop will terminate. So it will print studyo, studio. After the P, it terminated. So this is one of the simplest examples of a break statement in Python. Now we have the continue statement in Python, which is used to transfer control to the conditional expression and jumps to the next iteration of the loop, okay. That means the control gets transferred to the beginning of the loop. This is completely different from break. Break stops the execution and goes out and goes to the next line. But what does Python continue statement do? It will return the control to the beginning of the loop, okay. So the syntax is the following. Just like break, you just need to write continue. Let's see an example. Okay, now we'll see continue statement in Python. Okay, for continue statement, what I'll do, I'll again create a new variable with the studiopedia. Now let us print it. So we printed a string. Now I'll use the for loop for I in our string mystr colon. Within that, I'll check for if I is equal to, I told you if it's equal to P, what will happen? Previously what we did, we added a break statement here and it terminated. But now what I'll do, I'll add continue statement here, okay. After that, I'll print it. That's it. Now what will happen? The entire string will get printed. So when I'll run, you can see it printed a studiopedia. Okay, you can see the P is missing, rest everything is visible. Why? Because when we use the continue statement, when the value of I was P, then continue statement occurred and it returned the execution to the beginning of the loop, okay. So it missed the value P. After that, it went to E and it printed it here again. After that, it printed rest of the values. That means E, D, I, A. So it missed the P. That's it. So this is the purpose of continue statement. It will transfer the execution to the beginning of the loop, okay. In this video, we will learn about loops in Python. So loops execute a block of code and this code executes while the condition is true. So loops works in the same way like in C, C++, Java. Okay, so here in Python, we'll be discussing about while loop and for loop. In while loop, the block of code executes only when the condition is true. Okay, so here in the syntax, till the condition is true, this while will execute. After that, the execution will stop. Okay, so here is our PyCharm ID. Let us create a new project, file, new project. Let me give it a name, Python loops. I'll click on create. Okay, now let us create a new project. Right click, Python file. Let me give it a name demo. It's on Python file. When I'll press enter, it will convert to demo.py. So at first I'll work around while loop in Python. Let's see. So I'll take a variable and will initialize it to 0. I'll use while loop. So within that I have added a condition. Till the condition is true, this loop will execute. Okay. And whatever will be inside it, whatever statement will get printed. Okay, so let me print it. So it will print the value of a on each iteration, and this will increment the value of a after every looping iteration. Okay, so right click and run it. Let's see what is visible. The following is visible. Okay, initially the value of a was 0, so this loop will execute till the condition, that is, at first 0 is less than 3, it will go inside it and it will print 0. After that 0 will get incremented to 1. Now a is 1. After increment, it will check again, 1 is less than 3, so it will go inside here again. It will print the value of 1. Then it will increment, and now the value of a will be 2. It will go again here, 2 is less than 3, yes. So it will print the value of a, that is 2. Okay, after that it will increment it again. Now the value of a is 3. It will execute again, 3 less than 3, no. So it will exit the loop. Therefore, these values are visible. So through this you can easily work in a while loop. For loop is used when you want to set how many times a statement is to be executed. That means herein we have our for loop. Okay, this decides that how many times a statement will execute. So here in the sequence can be a list, tuple, dictionary, a set, or a string. So the for loop is used for iterating over this sequence. Okay, so the where basically is a variable that takes the value of the item inside the sequence on each iteration. So we will learn about this using example. Let's see. Now let us see a for loop. For that I'll just create a new file, new Python demo2. Okay, press enter. Now let us work around for loop in Python. So for loop in Python is used when you can set how many times a statement is to be executed. Okay, let me print something using for loop. Let's say I want to print each and every word of a name. So here it is for W in Amit. Okay, I'll use the for loop and I'll directly print it. Let me look into this. Okay, W, that's it. I'll right click and run it. Now you can see it has printed each word in my name. How? Because we use the for loop. This was our sequence. This sequence can be a list, dictionary, string. Okay, and this is our var, which we have shown before in syntax. Okay, this var is a variable that takes the value of each item inside the sequence in every iteration. So using W, we printed each and every word. In this way we can also work around for loop in Python. In this video we will learn about Python numbers, which type it includes in Python. With that we will also see some live examples. Let's begin. So Python built-in data types basically includes your Boolean types, numeric types. Since we are talking about Python numbers, it includes the numeric types. That is the numeric data types. To store number types like integer, float, hexadecimal, octal, and others. Okay. So now you would be wondering what is a data type. So variables in Python basically stores data of different type. It can be int, float, string. Okay. And the operations that can be performed on that data is represented by the data type. At first we will see some examples, then we will move towards the numeric data types, that what all it includes. Before that we will see a simple example. So guys, here is our PyCharm. Let us create a new project, file, new project. Let me give it a name, Python numbers, and I'll click on create to create it. So I clicked on create to create it. Now let us create a new file. Right click, new Python file, demo. On pressing enter, it will convert to demo.py. So herein we are discussing about Python numbers. So herein we will first discuss about, let's say, two variables we have created, value val1, val2. Okay, So I'll just assign some int value to it. So this is our int type. So I printed it. This is our int data type under numeric data types. I'll right click and run the demo. Now we have our two values which are integer. Now let us print float. Let's say I'll give a float value. I hope you know what is float, 5.9. Okay, now I'll print them. Let's say I'll give it a name. So these are our float type. We have created two variables with float type. Now I'll right click and print. Okay, so we have printed it. Now let us move further and create complex types. So herein we have created complex types, two variables, val5 and val6. Now I'll right click and print them using the print command. Herein we have created 6 values, okay, for 3 different types. So this is, you can relate with numeric data types. So we could have also created our hexadecimal number and octal number types. Let's do it. So guys, this is our hexadecimal number and this is our demo octal number. I'll right click and print it. Here we have printed it. Okay, so in this way we can display number type. So we have seen a sample example. Now comes the first type, that is integer type. It is a positive or negative whole number without a fractional part. Okay, so examples we just saw, it also includes octal and hexadecimal numbers. Okay, with that we can also print the type using the type method. Herein you can see the types are visible for all of them, complex, int and float. So we have long type also. The long data types are int types with unlimited size. You must have seen some numbers with the suffix like capital L and small l. Here are the examples. Okay, and use uppercase L to avoid any confusion, since lowercase l will look like this, so it will be difficult to differentiate. In Python 3 you can see only one type int works. That means long isn't supported in Python 3.10, I should say. Let us move further. Float type we just saw. Float is a floating point negative or positive number. The fractional part is the notation, that is capital E or small e. Okay, let us see an example. I'll take another example. Val8 is equal to, let's say 10.30. Val9 is equal to 3.256 e2. I told you we can use small e or capital E. Okay, now I'll just print them. Here it is, we printed both of them. The float, I should say, I have explained the float data type above here, but we are using some other examples also. Okay, I'll just run it. Now let's see. Herein you can see we have printed it, 10.3, 325.6. Okay, let's move further. So we also discussed complex data type before. Under complex data type, numbers are a combination of real or imaginary parts. So we saw an example wherein we use the combination of I and j. I is for real and j is for imaginary part. J is for imaginary part. Let's see. Here in our example we use the complex data type and we have shown the real and imaginary part here. Let us run it again, and we can see here it is our complex type visible here 2j, and here it is the complex type. So in this video we saw how we can work with Python numbers, what all data types, numeric data types are included in Python numbers, like int, float, complex, hexadecimal, octal. With that long was supported in Python 2.7, but Python 3.10 doesn't support long type. Thank you for watching. In this video we will learn about Python strings with examples. We'll be covering what is a string, how we can easily create it in Python. With that we'll also focus on what are string literals, how we can slice, concatenate strings, how we can work around negative indexing. With that we'll also focus on built-in functions in string. Let's begin. So what is a string? String is basically a sequence of characters. Okay, in Python creating a string is really easy. It's not like Java. In Java you need to use the character array or you need to use the string class, but in Python you just need to write like this and assign it to a variable. This will create your string in Python. Okay, we have added double quotes to it, but remember that in Python single quotes are similar to double quotes. We also use triple quotes, but in case we need to create a multi-line string, we can easily create a string like this. Let us see an example. So here is our PyCharm ID. Let us create a new project, file, new project. I'll name it to Python strings, and when I'll click on create, it will create our project. Here it is. Let us create a new file, demo. I'll press enter and it will create demo.py. Here it is. Now we will directly create a string. Okay, I'll use str. I'll add double quotes and I'll just add my name is Amit. That's it. String. This is how we create a string. I'll just print str. That's it. Right click and run demo. Here and you can see we printed our first string easily. So now I'll focus on string literals. Literals are enclosed in single, double quotes and even triple quotes. We will see the example now. Let me create string 1. So I added single quotes. Now I'll create string 2. I'll add double quotes. Both are same, no error will come. And the last, I'll add multi-line string. How? By adding 3 quotes. My name is Amit. And I live in Delhi. Okay. I'll press enter for multi-line. Here it is. Okay, so there shouldn't be any error now. I'll just print it. That's it. Now when I'll right click, it will also save and run it. When I'll right click and click on run demo, it will also save it and run it. Let's see. Here you can see single quotes it printed. For double quotes it printed, and for multi-line string it printed on the next line. Okay. Let us focus on how we can access substrings using slicing. My name is Amit. I printed in similar way. Now I'll just get the values. Okay, now I'll only fetch my name from here. Okay, that means slicing to access substring. We will just use the square brackets. That's it. Now from 11 to 15 it will print, that is my name. Now let's see, I'll right click and run it. Here and you can see it printed my name. In this way you can also use slicing to access substrings. You just need to use the colon and add the start index. This is the start index and this is the end index. Now let us focus on negative indexing to access substrings. Here it is, demo 4. So negative indexing means if you want to begin slicing from the end of the string, this will help you. Let us create a string. Okay, so let's say you need to get the last substring. For that I'll just use negative indexing. I hope you know, we saw in the previous example. So herein I'll just use negative indexing. You can see -4 to -2. This is the start index and this is the end index. So from the backwards it will check, that is -4 will begin from here and -2 will end here. That means it will display TE. Right click and run it. It displays TE. In the same way, if I'll just use another example, -6 I'll add, it will start from -5 -6. Okay, from here till here. Right click and run it. Look, OTE, I told you from here till here. Okay. In the same way, you can also work around negative indexing. In this video, we will learn about functions in Python with examples. We will see how we can create a function. We will also work around different function arguments in Python. That includes required keyword, arbitrary keyword, default, and others. With that, we will also work around what is recursion and the return statement in Python. Let's begin. A function in Python is basically an organized block of reusable code. That means if you want to reuse a code in your program, you can just create a function and call it. For example, let's say you want area of a rectangle. So to find the area of a rectangle, what you need, you just need length and breadth. Let's say you have multiple values for length and breadth. Instead of writing the code again and again, you can easily calculate it once in a function and call it again and again. This will actually reduce your task. This will also reduce your code. Okay, that is the LOC, the line of codes will also get reduced. Function in Python should begin with the keyword def. Here it is. Then it is followed by the name of the function and parentheses. So at first we will see how we can create a function. Then we will see how to call a function. With that we will also see how to add parameters to a function. Okay, let's begin. Let us create a new project on PyCharm ID. Herein I'll name it. Here I'll name it Python functions. Click on create. After clicking create, here is our project. Right click and create your first program. Right click, new Python file. I'll name it demo and press enter. Here is our first program. Let us see how to create a function in Python. So let us first define a function using the def keyword I told you before. Let's say our function name is demo. You need to add a colon here. This is the syntax. Here and now we can add anything. Let's say I'm giving a simple example. I'm writing a demo text. Okay, so I added this. Now I'll just call this function. So this is call. This is define a function. Now when I'll run it, run demo, right click, you can see we just called this function and the function went here and it printed whatever it was having here, which we added while defining. So this was a basic function in Python. We'll work around another example that will show you how to work with function parameters. The names entered in the function at the time of defining it are function parameters. So adding parameters to a function is optional. Okay, let's see how we can learn about it using an example. Here I'll create another file. Press enter. So to understand, we will create another example. So I'll create a demo function again. Let's say I'm printing device name. Okay, so herein I added device and herein I added the value which we have added as a parameter now. Okay, so this is our parameter. I told you function parameters. So under function we created a parameter and we are printing it here. But you would be wondering, where are the values? We'll be passing the values while calling the function. Okay, so I am calling this function just like I did in the previous program. Herein I'll just pass the values. Okay, that will get printed here since it is a function parameter. For device, let's say laptop is a device. I'll just write laptop, and when the function call will occur, it will take this value here. So string will be having laptop and it will get printed here. That's it. Herein you can see device laptop printed. You can add multiple values here. Now let's say I added desktop. Then I added mobile. Mobile is also a device. Right click and run it. Now 3 values will get printed. Okay, laptop, desktop, mobile. So we learned about function parameters in this example. So we passed along the values here and printed it using the str variable. Now let's move further towards recursion. Recursion means when a function calls itself, it is called recursion. Okay. So this allows you to reduce the line of code in your code because the function it called itself. That means we have reduced the LOC by our coding logic, and that also makes your code efficient. So herein we can easily work around, we can easily understand recursion using the factorial example, okay, which we'll just see. Recursion in Python. So let us create a function to calculate recursion. We have passed the parameter num, that is a number. If number is equal to 0, return 1, else return num into, now we'll call the function again, that means recursion. So we have called the function again but with num minus 1 value. So we are working on recursion here. So let's say you just called the function. Let's say we are finding 0 factorial initially. Okay, so I'll just pass 0 here. In the same way I'll work around different approaches. Let's say 1 factorial, I passed 1. Let's say 7 factorial, I passed 7, and let's say 10 factorial. 4 examples, 4 values we passed one by one through call. Okay, the function name is cal. Now it's fine. Now I'll just run it. You can see we have found the values for factorial. How? At first we pass 0 factorial, so cal function pass 0 here. Number will have 0. If number is equal to 0, that means condition is true. It returned 1. The output is 1 here. That means 0 factorial is 1. Okay. Now what about 1 factorial? It has passed 1 factorial. When is number is equal to 0? No, because number is having 1 now here. Okay, so it will go to the else condition and it will return number into the recursion value, that is calling the function again with a value less than the number. This will pass 1 into calc 0. So here in 1 into calc 0, if you remember cal 0 was 1, so 1 into 1 will be 1, that is 1 factorial is also 1. In the same way, let's say I worked around 7 factorial. 7 factorial, 7 is passed here. It won't go under if condition because it's not equal to 0. It will go to else. Now we have 7 here, 7 into cal 6. 7 minus 1 is 6, that means 7 into cal 6. Now recursion, cal c will again go here and will find values, then it will go to cal 5 minus 1. Then it will again go cal 4, cal 3, cal 2, cal 1, and it will calculate the result of the number with the cal function, that is recursion, and it will display the output. In the same way it works for 10 factorial. Let us see. The figure suggests the same way we found the function name is cal here, there it was cal. Okay, but the concept is same. So first call went with 7 factorial, then it was num into cal c, num minus 1, that is num was 7, 7 into cal c, 7 minus 1, 6. Then it will again go and the next recursion call, the third call. Okay, now the value of num is 6 here. Okay, so it will go inside 6 minus 1, 5. In the next call it will go 5 minus 1, 4, 4 minus 1, 3, 3 minus 2, 1, 2 minus 1, 1. In the same way it will calculate the multiplication again and again, and it will display the result of recursion. So this is how recursion works. Let us focus on the return statement in Python. It is basically used to terminate or exit the function and is basically placed at the end. So the return statement with an expression will get evaluated first. Okay, so a return statement with an expression will get evaluated first and then it will return to the function called. So let us see an example. Let's say I'll create a function demo. Okay, now I have used the return statement with an expression. So this will be 10 plus num. 10 plus this value will get returned. Now what is the value of num? We will pass using the demo function. Okay, we have passed here. Let's say we passed demo 2. So 2 value will get passed here. Num is equal to 2. It will go here. 12 will get returned and get printed. Here and you can see 12 got printed. In the same way you can add other values. Let's say I added this. I'll right click. What will happen? I'll run. What will happen? 10 will go here. 10 plus 10 is 20. So 20 will get returned after 12. So this is how the return statement works in Python. Now let us see another example. This for example 1. Now this is example 2. Let's say we created a function demo, 3 parameters ABC. Now I have added those values and displayed the result. Add this here. Now I'll add values for sum. Let's say I added 5, 7, 15. Now when I'll run it, it will pass all these 3 values here and it will go to the res variable for the output for the result, and the result will get printed using return statement. I'll run it. Here and you can see 27 is the output, 5 plus 7 plus 15. Now what about adding different values? 50, 500 and let's say 1000. I'll right click and run. What will be the output? 1550 will get returned here using the return statement. Here it is. Okay, so this is how we can work around the return statement. In this video we will learn what are Lambda functions in Python. With that we will also see some live examples. So basically Lambda functions are functions without a name, that is an anonymous function. Okay, to create a Lambda function the keyword Lambda is used. Okay, through this you can also define a Lambda function. Here and you can see the syntax. Okay, Lambda arguments colon expressions. The Lambda function can have any number of arguments, but remember only a single expression. In this video we will learn what are Lambda functions in Python. With that we will also see some live examples. So basically Lambda functions are functions without a name, that is an anonymous function. Okay, to create a Lambda function the keyword Lambda is used. Okay, through this you can also define a Lambda function. Here and you can see the syntax. Okay, Lambda arguments colon expressions. The Lambda function can have any number of arguments, but remember only a single expression. Let us see some examples. Herein we will see 5 examples. So at first we will see how to multiply a number to an argument with Lambda functions. Let's begin. Herein on PyCharm, create a project, file, new project. Let me name it Python Lambda functions. Click on create. Now our project got created. Let us create a new file. Right click, Python file, type a name. I'll type demo. So we have our first file demo.py. So herein we will multiply a number to an argument. So at first take a variable. We will use the lambda. We have used the lambda keyword. Then we will be adding some expressions. So we are multiplying the argument with a particular number, that is we are multiplying with 2 here. Now when I'll print it, I'll print val25. The result is val25. That means this is the lambda function val, and within that we are passing 25 value. So 25 will get multiplied to 2 and the result will be 50. Let's run. Right click, run. Here and you can see the result is 50. So this is how you can multiply a number to an argument in Lambda functions. Let us create a new example. Right click, new, Python file, demo2, press enter. So herein we are displaying a string. Let's say we have a string. Now we will display it. How? Using the Lambda functions. Use the Lambda keyword, then the name of the string. After that we will print it like this. Okay, so when I'll right click and run, it will show me the output hello world. So this is how we can display a string using the Lambda keyword, that is the Lambda function. Let's see another example. Demo 3. Now we will multiply three arguments with lambda functions. Let us create a variable and within that use the lambda keyword. So we will set three variables I, j, k, and we will here multiply them using the lambda. Okay, so here you can see we have not created a function. That means you cannot see a function. It is a function without a name, an anonymous function. That's it. Just print it. How? I'll just print val, and within that the arguments for lambda function I'll add the three arguments. So I have added three arguments 10, 20, 30. Right click and run. So herein I have added the values 10, 20, 30. It has been multiplied by the lambda function. So the result is 6000, that is 10 multiplied by 20 multiplied by 30. So we have multiplied the three arguments using lambda functions. Now let's see another example. Demo 4. Herein we will find the maximum of two numbers. Herein we will find the maximum of two numbers with lambda functions. How? Let us create a variable. Within that we have used the lambda keyword. So herein we are printing I if I is greater than j. That means if the maximum of I and j is I, it will print I, else it will print j. So we have set the conditions using lambda. Okay, now I'll print. I'll add two values here. Both of them will get compared here. So it will display 100. Why? Because I is 50 and j is 100. It won't satisfy the first condition because I is greater than j we want, but in actual I is less than j. So the condition will go here and j will get printed. That is, j is the maximum value. When I'll run it, it will print j, that is 100. So in this way we can easily find the maximum of two numbers with lambda function. Now next example. Okay, so we will find the square of a number with lambda functions. Okay, so herein we have taken a variable. So herein we have val. We have used the lambda keyword and we have just multiplied the variable I twice. Why? Because we wanted the square of a number. Okay, so I'll just display the result. How? Just by using the val and just mentioning the argument. It will go here and multiply 9 into 9, that is the result should be 81. Right click and the result is 81. In this way guys, we found the square of a number. In this video we will learn about classes and objects in Python. With that we will see some examples also. Let's begin. At first, what is a class? As you know, Python is an interpreted high-level structural and object-oriented programming language. So since it is object-oriented, classes and objects are also part of it. Okay. Class is a template for an object, whereas an object is an instance of a class. Class is a blueprint for objects in Python. So if you want to create a class in Python, you can use the following syntax. Class is a keyword. Name of class is the name of the class which you can add here, like say demo, studiopedia, calculate. You can add any name. Within that you need to add statements. That's it. So let's see an example to understand this. Okay, you can see the class keyword is used to create a class in Python. It is a reserved word. Let's see how to create a class and how to define it. So herein we are having a PyCharm. Go to file, new project. Name it Python classes objects. Okay. Okay, so now let us right click and create our first file demo and press enter. We'll be defining a class now. So as I told you that we use the class keyword, so we'll be writing class keyword. With that you can add the name of the class. You can add any name. Let's say my class name is studiopedia. That's it. Okay, this is how you can create a class. Within that you can add statements. So I'm just showing a sample example. Let's say the following, and let's see what will happen if I'll print the class name now. Okay, remember to add a colon here. Now I'll right click and run demo. Here you can see we printed the name of the class. Okay, so this is how you can easily create a class in Python. Objects in Python, an object is an instance of a class. Okay, so you can relate an object with real life examples, real life applications like a bike, a motorbike. In the same way, an object is having state, behavior and identity. Now you would be wondering how a bike is having a state, behavior and identity. So the identity of a bike is the name of the bike. Okay, the state you can say are attributes like you can see the color, model, the weight of the bike. With that, the behavior, what is the behavior of an object, that is what is the behavior of a bike. It is used to drive, to accelerate, to brake. Okay, so we have given this example, we have a bike object, so it can be represented like identity, state and behavior, which I told you: name of the bike, state of the bike and behavior of the bike. So this is how you can represent objects in Python. Now let us see two examples how to create an object in Python and example displaying Python classes and objects. Create an object in Python. Okay, so at first I'll create a class. I have shown you how to create one class, Studiopedia. Okay, so I just printed this. Now we will create a sample object with the name OB. Okay, so this is how we can create it. OB, then the name of the class. Like this you can create an object. Okay, now we'll be accessing a value. Okay, to access a value of a class you can use object dot notation, but we are not having any value here. So let's say I am adding a value here. Value is equal to 100. So I just printed this. Okay, now when I'll right click and run it. Okay, so yes, when I'll right click here and you can see we printed the value. We created an object OB, first object, and using that we access the value VAL inner class. Okay, so this is the simplest example of creating an object. Now we will understand the example of Python classes and object that will give you an idea about both classes and object in a better way. Let's see an example. Let's say we created a class, so we'll be taking the real life example bike. Okay, within that let us add the attributes of a bike. Okay, now what are the attributes? It is the state of the bike. Okay, that means the color of a bike, the model of a bike. Okay, the name, engine, you can add any attribute. I'm adding name. Let's say the name is Hayabusa. Body, let's say I just added for a sample generation 3. Now what is the engine? Let's say 1340cc, so I'll just add 1340. Okay, so now we have these three attributes with us for our bike class. Now let us create a custom function in Python. Okay, let's say the name of a function is demo func. You can add any name. So we have used the self parameter here. Now what is self? The class methods in Python have the first parameter as self to access the class variables. Okay, a method which is having no argument should also have an argument self. Okay, you can give it any name instead of self, but I have added self only. Let us print. At first I'll print the bike name. Okay, for that I am using self dot name, then in the same way body and engine. Now let us create objects. We have created two objects, B1 and B2. Now we will be accessing the value using the first object, that is b1. How? Let's see. Get the name using b1, and okay, this is how you can get the name. We can print something here, let's say bike name, and in the same way we can also access the bike engine like this, b1.engine. That's it. Okay, now we will call using the second object to show you that we can also access variables and call using objects. Let's say the second one, and calling the demo function. That's it, we have completed it. Right click and run, and let's see what is the output. Here you can see at first we printed the bike name and engine. After that, using the second object, we printed all three. Okay, like this. I can remove this so that it's easier for us to understand. Here it is. We printed bike name and engine using the first object, and we printed the entire function, that is all these three, using the object to b2. Okay, so here it is. This is how you can work around classes and objects in Python. Now let us work around init function. Just like constructors in Java, this function, the init function, executes when the object gets created. Okay, you can easily assign values to object properties using the init function. So we will see an example now of Python classes and object with init. Let's see. Okay, at first let us create a class again, class students. Within that, let us use the init __ init. Here it is. It automatically added self. I told you what is self before. The class method in Python have the first parameter as self to access the class variable. A method with no argument should also have an argument self. You can add any name, but self is fine. It by default took it. Okay, now within that you can add the parameters. Let's say the first is always self, so I'll be adding next one as, let's say, subject name, s name, then s subject, then s grade. Okay, we have the student subject, student name, student subject, and student grade. Now using the self, we will just assign the values. Now let us create a custom function, a demo function. Okay, so I'll be creating def demo func. Within that, it took self again. Here we are accessing the values for name, student name, as well as student subject. Now we will create objects. So we are creating three objects, st1, st2, st3. Okay, now let us add values for the parameter. So the first one was name, then it was subject, and here it is grade. Okay, we created three objects. Now we will call the custom function using the same objects. Okay, so st1.demo func, st2.demo func, and st3.demo func. Okay, right click and run demo 4. Now let's see. At first, herein you can see it created three objects. Okay, then it used the first object to call the function. It called using st1, that is using the following values, Amit programming in A plus, and the same got printed here. Okay, I am Amit. I am interested in the subject. It should be okay. In the same way, it worked for all the three functions. Okay. Okay, so now I guess this would be fine. So we printed one by one for first object, for second object, and for third object. In this way, you can work around init function. In this video, we will learn about tuples in Python with examples. Let's begin with what is a tuple. So tuple is basically collection of objects, and it is immutable. That means you cannot update a tuple or any of its elements once you have created it. Tuples, as I said, it is immutable. You cannot change it, but you can change list after creating. Tuple uses parentheses for comma separated values. List uses square brackets for comma separated values. Okay, so these square brackets are mandatory. However, tuples, these parentheses are optional in tuples. We cannot modify tuples. I told before, it is immutable, and list is mutable. That is, we can modify them. It is faster in comparison with list. So this is how you can easily create a tuple, and this is how you can easily create a list. I told you before that parentheses we can use, or we can also keep it optional. And in list, we need to compulsory use square brackets. We'll create a tuple, okay, with and without using parentheses. At first, we will create a new project in PyCharm. Let me name it Python tuples and click on create. So here is a project. Let us right click new Python file, and we will create a tuple. Okay, so let's say a tuple name is my tuple, and within that we will create tuples. First we will use parentheses. So this is how you can create tuples. Now to print it, just mention the name, that's it, and I'll right click and I'll run it. Here it is. Okay, so we created a tuple. Now we added string values. You can also add numbers. How? Not so difficult. We added number, that's it, and we printed it. You can also add a mix of numbers and string. How? This is how we can create. We added float value also. I'll just print it, right click and run, and herein you can see we created, first we created a string tuple, then int tuple with integers, then we created a mix of them. Okay, so I also told you that we can also create tuples without parentheses. So let's create it. Okay, here it is. Now I'll run it. Let's see what is the output. Here it is. Okay, so we created tuple with and without using parentheses easily. In this video, we will learn about dictionaries in Python with examples. We will learn how to create a dictionary. With that, we will also learn about all the concepts related to dictionaries in Python. Let's begin. Dictionary represents the key value pair in Python enclosed in curly braces. So you can relate dictionary with the real world example of dictionaries, wherein you find words so that you can get their meaning. So words and meaning pair are like key value pair. Okay, so this is how dictionary in Python works. Keys are unique, and a colon separates it from value. That means key colon value. Okay, the keys are immutable. Okay, and it can be in the form of strings, numbers, whereas the value can be any Python object. The keys in dictionary are case sensitive. You need to remember that. Let us see how we can create a dictionary in Python. Dictionaries in Python are separated by comma. So herein you can see my stock, we have created a dictionary object. Within that we have key value pairs. Okay, the product, price and quantity here are keys, and earphone 850 are values. Okay, you can see key and value are separated by colon, whereas each key value pair is separated by a comma. So this is a 3 key value pair under dictionaries, one pair, second pair and third pair. Let us see an example. So this is the illustration. I told you my stock is a dictionary object, and you have 3 key value pairs here. Product colon earphone, product is your key. Here in price is your key and here in quantity is your key. With that, the values, individual values are here. Earphone 850. That means on the left of the column we have keys and in the right of the column we have values. Okay. Let us see another example with 4 key value pairs. After that we will run all these live examples with all possible concepts in dictionaries. Here is a dictionary object again. We have 4 key value pairs here. Okay. Our keys are product, price, quantity and in stock. Our values are earphone, 850 and yes here. And the same is mentioned by us. Okay. Python dictionary with 4 key value pairs. After that we will also see an example related to creating a dictionary using a built-in method. Let's see. Here is a PyCharm ID. Let us create a new project, file, new project. Let us name it Python dictionaries and click on create. We have created our project. Let us create our first program. Right click new Python file, name it demo and press enter. It will create a demo.py file. Okay, so at first we will see an example to create a dictionary. So let us create a dictionary first. At first we will create an object. So I told you before, let's say our object is my stock. And now we will create the key value pairs. So I added a parenthesis. Let us now add the following is our key because it is on the left of colon. On the right we have the values. So product is our key and earphone is our value. For the next key value pair we will add a comma. Then we have price on the left of colon, that is a key, and then we have a value. So this is the price 800, let's say. Then comes the quantity part, guys. Quantity, let's say, is 50 here, which is our other key value pair, and the last will be in stock. In stock is our key and value is our yes. Okay, so this is our dictionary. Now let us print the dictionary easily. Just add the name of the object, that's it. Right click and run, and herein you can see we successfully printed a 4 key value pair, 1 2 3 and 4. Okay, so let me change it, yeah, quantity, and run it again. So we created a 4 key value pair. Here it is. The first is this, the second is the price one, third is the quantity key value pair, and the fourth is in stock key value pair. So this was our first example to create dictionary in Python with keys, that is 4 key value pairs. In this way you can also create 2 key value pairs or 3 key value pairs, whatever you wish to. Okay, now let us move further and see how we can create a dictionary in Python using the dict method. I told you, dict method. Let's create a new file, name it demo2 and press enter. So we will create a dictionary now using the dict method. Okay, at first create a dictionary in the same way. So our dictionary object is my stock. Within that I'll create dict, and under that I'll add parentheses. That's it. Now add your key value pairs inside it. This is the only difference. Okay, so I'll add it again, the 4 key value pairs we created before. So we added here, okay, product, price, quantity, in stock, that is whatever you have on the left of the colon is your key, and on the right we have values. Okay, now let us print it using the same my stock, print the dictionary, right click and run, and herein you can see we successfully printed our key value pair using the dict method. Okay, so we have our 4 key value pair ready for our dictionary. In this video we will walk around Python list. We will understand what are lists in Python, and with that we will also work around the difference between list and tuple, and we will see some examples related to Python list. Let's begin. So list in Python are ordered. You can easily modify it after creating, unlike tuples. Tuple is immutable and list is mutable. That means tuples cannot be modified once it gets created, but Python lists are mutable. That means you can modify it even after it's created. Let's see the difference quickly. I told you tuple is mutable, it cannot be modified, but lists are opposite, they can be modified. Tuples basically use parentheses. It's optional, you can also avoid it, but list includes comma separated value, and it uses and list uses square brackets for comma separated values, and it is mandatory to add square brackets. We cannot modify tuples and we can modify list. I told you tuples are considered faster than list. You can create a tuple like this using parentheses, or you can also avoid it. It is optional, but to create list you need to add these square brackets. Okay, we will see how we can create a list. So as I told you before, to create a list we need to set the items in square brackets, and each element is separated by comma, that is comma separated values. The offset of list are like arrays, that is the index begins from 0. Let us see our first example wherein we will create an integer with 10 list elements. So here is our PyCharm ID. Let us create a new project, file, new project, Python list, click on create. So we have created our project, right click on the project, new, and create a first Python file, demo. Press enter, it will convert to demo.py. Let us now see how we can create a new Python list. Let us name our list mylist. Let us name our list, this is our list object mylist. Now I told you we use square brackets, so within we will add 10 elements. Okay, we have added 10 elements. I'll just print it like this. Right click and run, and here you can see we printed our first Python list with 10 integer items, 10 integer elements. Okay, in the same way we can also create another list with the string items. Okay, so we created a simple example of list with string elements. Right click and run it. Okay, we ran it successfully. With that we can also create a list with the type float. Let's create it. Another list, mylist3, and square brackets, and within that add the float elements. So we created it successfully. Right click and run it. You can see we created it successfully. Okay, now let us see how we can join two lists in Python. To join two lists we use the plus operator. Okay, easily. So herein we have two lists, you can see, and we will join it. Let us see the example. Let us create list 1. Print it. Now let us create list 2. Print list 2, and now we will join it using the plus operator. So I'll create a new list, and within that I'll add it. That's it. Okay, now print the list 3. Right click, run. Okay, herein we have list 1, list 2, and when we join them the following is visible. So in this way we successfully joined two lists. In the same way we can also concatenate lists using the plus operator. Now we have the multi-dimensional Python list. Okay, lists within lists are known as multi-dimensional list. Okay, so to create a multi-dimensional list, the concept of multi-dimensional list works like this. So list work like arrays only. That means in multi-dimensional arrays also, when we use two square brackets, the first one is the row and the second one depicts the column. So if you have created a matrix like structure like this, so the following will be 0th index for column and row. The following will be 0th index for row and first index for column, and the same goes on. The vertical part is your column and the horizontal part is your rows. Okay, so in this way multi-dimensional Python list work. Left index is the row number and right index is the column number. I told you before. Now let us see these three examples to work around multidimensional Python list. Now let us create a multidimensional Python list. Okay, so here it is. We added the square brackets. Within that we will add multidimensional list. We will add list within list. Okay, so let's say the following. Okay, so let us print the multidimensional list. So here it is, we printed it. Okay, we can also print it using the for loop to get a better structure. For in my list print res. Okay, this will print in a proper way. Here it is. So this is our multidimensional list. Okay, here it is. So this is our multidimensional list. Okay, now let us create another example. Access elements in a multidimensional list, Python list. In a multidimensional, so let us first create a list, multidimensional list. We created it. Now we will print it using for loop. Print it. We use the for loop. Now just mention print and print each element one by one. Right click and run. So this is our multidimensional list. Okay, to access elements in a multidimensional list, use the number of rows and number of columns. Let's say want to get the first element of the first row. For that just mention the row and column as 0 0. Okay, so remember the first one is row and the second one is column index. Right click and run. This displayed 10. Okay, here it is. First row first column is 10. In the same way we can work around others. For that we have mentioned second row, that is index 1, and first column, that is index 0 for column. Okay, right click and run and this will display 50. Here it is. First row first column was following. Second row and first column is 50. Second row and second column is 60. Okay, let us run it. Second row and second column, that means 1 1 is our 60. Okay, it should print 60. Here it is 60. In this way you can access values in a multi-dimensional Python list. Let's see last example. Add elements to the end of the multi-dimensional list. We use the append method for it. We created a multi-dimensional list. Let us print it using for loop. Let us print it. So we use the for loop and printed the multi-dimensional list. Now let us append. Add elements to the end. For that use my list, your list name, list object dot append, and just mention the elements you want to add. Let's say I'll mention 250, 275 and 300. Now I'll just print the list again. Let me mention updated. Okay, now let us run it. So this was our list and we updated our list with 3 more elements using the append method. Okay, in this way we can work around multi-dimensional list. In this video we will learn about What is a set in Python? How we can create? We will work around its operations using its built-in methods. Python set basically part of collections in Python. Okay, that means list, tuples, dictionary, and set are the four built-in data types in Python which are used to store collections of data. Okay, whenever you create a set, the items are placed inside curly braces and they are separated by comma. Python set unordered and unchangeable. Okay, unchangeable, but you can add a new item to an already created set. With that, you can also remove an item from a set. Okay, and remember that duplicate values aren't allowed in a set. If you'll add duplicate values and print it, only a single value will get printed. At first, we will create a set in Python. I told you to create a set. The elements are placed inside curly brackets, which are separated by comma. Okay, so let's see how to create a set. Here's PyCharm. Let us create a new project. File, new project. Click on create. We have created a set. Right click and create a new file, Python file. Demo, press enter, it will convert to demo.py. That is our Python file. Our first example is how we can create a set in Python. Okay, at first take a set object. You can add any name for this. Curly braces I told you, and just add values in it. So herein we added 5 items in our set separated by comma and enclosed by curly brackets. I told you I'll print it easily using this print method. That's it. You have created your first set in Python. Right click and run. Here it is. We have printed it. Okay, so I told you that Python set are unordered. That means the items will appear in a random order. Okay.